Welcome, my lovely. Come, sit and rest. But first, let me give you one small test.
Well, hey there, guys. I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop, the ZeldaDungeon.net video mailbag where I answer your Zelda questions. And our first question comes from Kate. Link's heart is reflected as a bunny in the Dark World. Mine a majestic unicorn. What are your forms in the Dark World? I actually think this is an excellent question. I love questions like this, comparing, yourself to some kind of lore in a fictional world. I implore all of you to answer, because I think this one's great. But, for me, I say I would probably turn into some form of parrot. Most of you probably already figured that the reason why is obvious, but I'm irritating. I hear that parrots can also be quite mean, so I guess that fits. I just think in general, all of the traits in a parrot best describe me. Jetter asks, what is your favorite opening theme to a Zelda game? Mine is Ocarina of Times for being so nostalgic for me. I think, for me, that's actually a tricky one because there's a lot of neat songs to open a lot of Zelda games. Skyward Sword's a great one because it has Zelda singing. Another good one is the Minish Caps because it has that, it's just a pretty song. A pretty cool song, but I think I'd have to pick Twilight Princesses as my favorite intro theme because it's just a very mysterious, a very epic theme that really sets up the game extremely well, and I think it really sets the mood for the game. It just really gets you going, and it makes you want to play it. I mean, it's not, I complain a lot about Twilight Princess, but I think this was one high point for the game. That was a very cool intro song. Crazy Geek for Zelda asks, I was wondering if you've been to the Legend of Zelda Symphony Concert. If you have, what's your favorite song that they did? Were you a little emotional? Do you recommend people to go? If you haven't gone to the concert, why? I haven't, and I probably won't be able to simply because of timing, financial issues, whatever. But, I definitely think people should go, at least if it works out for them. I don't think it's something that people should stress to do. I have, however, listened to the CD that comes with Skyward Sword, and I was very blown away by it. It's really good, and I really enjoyed. I think most of all, I enjoyed the the collections of songs. I think it's a medley. I think that's what you call it. For the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, I think that those were great because it just had a lot of songs together, and it really. Oh, and the series medley, I think there was that too. I just love these songs, and I think that they did really nice versions of a lot of songs, and you got to hear a lot of songs in them. I just thought that was really cool. And yeah, it was definitely emotional for me. It's cool to hear Zelda songs in that grand of a format, and it's very nice. Phantom Clock asks, what do you think of the idea of there being multiple kingdoms in one Zelda game? To explain, you don't only stay in Hyrule, you can go to another kingdom with a different ruling family, etc. Well, I think it's a good idea. I think that it'd be great to expand the world. I mean, you have a lot of Zelda games where it's in a pretty tight area. It'd be cool to go past. I think most fans would agree with that, to journey off to different lands. And the only problem I see is that it'd kind of require a big game. I mean, you've already got problems in some Zelda games, or at least in my opinion, of some of the worlds feeling a little cramped, like they're not really fleshed out worlds. That's only going to get worse if you expand it to a different region. If you have several regions in the same game, they can't all be as fleshed out as a full Zelda game could, unless they spend a long time and a lot of manpower on that one game. So I think that it could be cool, but you have to realize it would be somewhat limited, though they could execute it in a really good way that would make it not feel limited. So I'd like to see it if they can do it well, but it is something that could be risky. Master Ganon asks, Link is many times believed to be a descendant of the hero that came before him. Who do you think he had his kids with? Well, I think it's questionable. However, how many Links are descended from previous Links? I think some might just be completely unrelated people. That said, Link has a lot of people to choose from. Let's just say that. Zelda's a game where the main character kind of has a harem. So, yeah, he has a lot of choices. Red622 asks, what would you think if they made a Zelda game with marriage elements, like you could marry certain characters or have children, sort of like Harvest Moon, and get other characters married? Well, I don't know about matchmaking, although side quests like that have cropped up, like in Skyward Sword with Tippet and Karain, I think is her name, and I don't know about the kids thing, but the idea of a dating element is actually a surprisingly good one because, as I said, there's a lot of romantic interests for Link, and there always are, and for a game it was at least originally supposed to be about you kind of like self-inserting into the character's role, I think it would actually fit kind of nicely to be able to do that and have that choice. I mean, Skyward Sword kind of went in that direction a little bit, with you having the dialogue options that you could say to Zelda, some of them kind of hitting on her, some not. So, I don't know, I think that would work out pretty well for the series. B. Kelly-458 asks, people often talk about if a future Zelda game should have voice acting or not. Since voice actors can't reproduce an original name you gave Link, the ability to name Link would have to be removed to make voice acting work on a technical level. Would you be willing to trade the ability to name Link for full voice acting? Technically, yes, but you really don't need to remove that for it to work. There are ways to be creative about it to not reference the character's name or to reference a title as opposed to the name. There's definitely ways they can do that. And I don't think the technology to have someone voice act all the sounds that someone could make and then put them together into a custom name should be that hard. That seems kind of straightforward, although I don't know if that's even possible yet or not. Univ Park asks, what is your opinion on the Zelda mangas? Have you read them? If so, which is your favorite? I have actually read and own all of the Zelda mangas. I think that they're decent. I don't think that they're really great books, really well done. They're just kind of fun. They're entertaining. And I think that a lot of them, especially the early ones, can actually be kind of badly written. It's just fun to see the story. It's not exactly a well-told story, especially the Ocarina of Time one, the Ocarina of Time manga, which I actually thought was written fairly badly. I definitely think the manga authors got better as they did the later ones. My favorite is actually the two Four Swords ones, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I think it was a very cool story. It was well written, and they created a lot on the game's story, I thought, and I think that actually enhanced a lot of the storytelling. Diego Eduardo Rodriguez asks, it's obvious that Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, and Young Link from Super Smash Bros. Melee were the characters from Ocarina of Time, so it makes sense that Sheik is also there. It's also obvious that the Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf of Super Smash Bros. Brawl are the ones from Twilight Princess. But if it's the Twilight Princess Zelda, then why can Sheik turn into Sheik? Does this have something to do with the story, or do you consider these as side games? Well, they're definitely side games. Nothing canonical there. However, the Sheik design in Brawl was actually like a beta design that they had designed for a Sheik for Twilight Princess. Like, there was originally, at least they were thinking with a Sheik in Twilight Princess. And they didn't use it, obviously, so they put it in Brawl. So, yeah, simple answer, I guess. Markascop asks, the aliens that invade the Romani Ranch in Majora's Mask are said to be inspired by the Kelly-Hopkinsville incident in 1955 and or the Flatwoods monster in 1952. What's your take on this subject? Well, I definitely think that they're basically the Flatwoods monster. I think I remember hearing that the Flatwoods monster is very popular in Japan, and it's a famous alien, alien encounter, and they look exactly like him, or almost exactly like him. It's an extremely similar appearance. They even descend in a ball of light like the Flatwoods monster was sort of described as doing. So it's clearly a Flatwoods monster thing. Although I didn't think of the Hopkinsville incident, which was basically a bunch of little freaky alien goblins supposedly attacking this farm. I guess that's one of the most stereotypical aliens attacking farm situations, so it's probably somewhat inspired by that. Although I think it's mostly Flatwoods monster. I think it's very cool, though. I like the cultural reference there. I think it's a very neat, and that's one of my favorite moments in Majora's Mask, so I thought that was very entertaining. Danendorf asks, how do you explain that Tingle appears in Wind Waker in the Flooded Hyrule when he is a character from Majora's Mask in Termina? Well, this is a case where it's simply they take the same character, but he's not the same person. At least that's my take on it. Like, they wanted to have the same character design and character concept, but they didn't connect it, like, timeline-wise. It's not like he is actually there. It's not the same guy. It's just they took his design. However, there technically is a questionably canonical explanation for it, because in the Tingle RPGs, he's actually, like, somewhat immortal, supposedly, as long as he has rupees. I guess. They're weird games. Bossdor asks, whatever happened to the people of Skyloft after the events of Skyward Sword? They didn't go to the surface with Zelda and Link. Also, when you go to the sky in the Minish Cap, there are still people in the sky, but afterwards, when you go to the city in the sky, which I assume is the remains of Skyloft, there are only the Uka. Well, I don't buy the city in the sky being Skyloft, because there's really no actual connection there other than they're in the sky. And, as for, like, what happened to them, I assume that either Skyloft eventually came down to the surface, or they lived up there. I actually do think it's probable that they are the Wind Tribe. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially with the Minish Cap coming straight after Skyward Sword. As for the Uka and Twilight Princess, the connection makes no sense to me, so I really don't think there's anything there. Wiki Ease Epic asks, asks, what did you think of the plotline in Skyward Sword? I just finished the game like an hour ago, and I thought that it was awesome, and I cried so much. So did you think that this was a good plotline, or were there other games that had a plotline you thought was better? Admittedly, I cried during one or two moments as well, particularly the end with Fi. But, yeah, I actually thought it was a really great story. Actually, one of the best of the series. The storytelling especially was really good, and even more so, the dialogue was very well written. It was a blast just hearing the characters talk to each other and seeing what they said. I just thought it was a really well-told story, and it's one of the coolest of the series, although I still question why they didn't pull more elements and more explanations of elements from other games, because it's a freaking prequel. But, you know, it's definitely a step up from some of the other stories in the game, and I very much enjoyed it. Alright, guys, that's it for this time. Be sure to send your questions to the contact page in the description, and I'll see you guys later.